one thing, if a little green man pops out of me, I'm shooting first and asking questions later.
You are on the verge of destroying the entire universe.
Welcome to the Strange Podcast with Sam and Logan.
All right, this is the Strange Podcast. Thanks for joining us. I'm Logan Marks.
And I'm Sam Baxter. Today is October 22nd, 2017.
Today we're going to be talking about night visitors and doppelgangers.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, scary. So how was your week?
Oh, the week was all right. It was really busy, had a lot of work. Did a lot of fun stuff. Then did a lot of visiting family. I drove like about 355 kilometers this weekend. So
kilometers? Would you go to England?
For those of you who do not know kilometers, it is also miles. I drove about 250 miles one way each way. So I had a busy weekend, and it's fun visiting, hanging out with people, seeing people. Saw a movie.
Oh, what'd you see?
You see that new Jackie Chan movie called The Foreigner? Have you heard of that one?
Oh, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's not bad. It was actually all right. Jackie Chan, for an older guy, he's still kicking some ass, man.
Is he still doing his own stunts?
I believe so. It looks like he is, and he was just fucking up some people, man. It was what I like. How about you? Did you do anything fun this week or this weekend?
See, we went to the haunted house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I mean, there was a lot of clowns.
Ooh, clowns.
Which was good because we went and saw It before.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Oh, it was pretty good. It was pretty scary.
So, did you see the original It? Like, how does this compare versus the original It?
The original It was pretty good, but it's been such a long. I haven't seen it since it aired. So,
gotcha.
So like I remember, and I was like, we were probably in middle school when it came out.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So it was. I remember it being scary, but I probably watch it now and I'll probably be like, what the hell was this?
I'll tell you what though. I remember even back then, the ending of It from back then, it was so lame. It was like some big spider, and I was like, how did Pennywise was such a fucking scary clown and everything, and he terrorized those kids, and he made their lives hell, and then you find out he's just a big spider that could barely move, and they just roll him over and tear him out.
I know, that was such a lame ending.
I'm sorry. That just didn't do it for me.
They just could have called like a exterminator. Got rid of the problem.
Yeah, we got some in the sewers. We got some rats and some spiders, and
that'll be $250. It'll take care of it. All right.
So I was really, but again, a lot of Stephen King movies, they just didn't. The books were good, but the Stephen King movies, the endings were always pretty lame. The endings were just like always explosions, and it was just kind of like, bah, that's it, it's done.
They start out really good, and then they just always went flat. Well, there's a couple of them that were pretty good. Like, I like The Mist.
The Mist ending was pretty good. It didn't follow suit to the book, but the movie ending was pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, it was pretty fucked up. It was pretty dark. I'm sorry, but you kill everyone you love right around you, and then you're about to give up, and you walk outside, and there's your help and your salvation. And it's like, oh shit, I just wiped everybody out. That is definitely a kick in the pants. But like Needful Things, do you remember Needful Things?
Yeah.
Oh, that was such a good movie, and it ended up just again an explosion. Again, I don't know how they destroyed the devil with a bomb. It just didn't make sense.
I mean, maybe because like Stephen King was just writing so much stuff, he just like was, I'm so tired. Let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
And then everybody blew up.
I know. Game over, man. Game over. Just fucking ended that way. No problem. That was too bad. But the only bad problem about like not being at home because I was traveling is I don't have my own bed. When I don't have my own bed, I don't sleep very well.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever experienced anything like that?
Yeah, I don't sleep that well either. So that's a good segue into what I was gonna do this week, which is like night visitors.
Night visitors.
Yes, it's like I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you. This is a story that happened to me like when I was young. It's like
sorry, but when you say night visitor, you mean like a booty call? I know. Okay, I was just wondering, man, because there's been some night visitors, that are good. But this doesn't sound like it's a good one.
When I was younger, I had some night visitors that weren't that great.
Okay.
And those were kind of booty calls, but I was pretty drunk.
Okay.
And in the morning, that's when it got scary.
Okay. That's when you remember what she looked like? So what happened? What happened with your experiences?
So when I was younger, it was like my first night when I was sleeping at my own place. And
okay.
I just moved out of my parents' house. And like I said, this was a long time ago.
So you were like 29, 36?
I was probably like 19. This was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So like I was sleeping in bed, and then all of a sudden I can like hear like a knocking at the door. I opened my eyes, and the door to my room was open, and I could see like the wall in the next room. And it was weird because like it was dark in my room, but the wall in the other room was like all lit up, like a spotlight was on it.
Okay.
So again, I can hear the knocking comes again. You know, it's like boom, 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 boom. And I was looking at my alarm clock, and I was like, man, it's like 3 a.m. So I was all pissed off. I was like, who's gonna be visiting me right now? So I'm laying there on my back. I'm facing the door, the entrance of the room, and then I tried to get up, and I find that I couldn't move. Ooh. So like I was paralyzed. You know, I couldn't. I tried to attempt to move my fingers, wiggle them around, and I couldn't get them to move it, no matter how hard I tried.
Ooh.
And then the knock on the door got louder, and I hit this terrible feeling in my gut. So I'm laying there.
Don't fight the gut. Don't fight the gut.
Yeah, I know. So I'm laying there, and the only thing I can do is like stare at the wall because my head wouldn't move. I could just like shift my eyes back and forth. Whoever was knocking, they started just pounding like really fast, da, 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 and then all of a sudden it just stopped.
Sure, wasn't like an ex-girlfriend that just wanted to see you or something. I mean, she just couldn't get along without you.
I know. That's usually never been a problem.
Okay.
So it stops, and it's like a dead silence, right? And then
Sure.
I could hear the door slowly creak open.
Hmm.
And then like against that wall that had the spotlight, there's this large shadow.
Wait, so I'm assuming the door was locked before this.
Yeah, so the door like starts creaking open, and I see this large shadow on the wall that's being cast from it, whatever it is. And I could feel like my heart beats like really so loud that I can hear my ears because I'm freaking out.
Oh, wow.
Because I still can't move. You know, I had a handgun in my nightstand next to me.
Couldn't get to it.
And I was trying to get to it, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta try to get this gun because whatever it is coming. You know, I don't want it to like jump me or beat the crap out of me. You know.
Yep.
And I still couldn't move. So the shadow on the wall began to get larger, and I can hear like footsteps in the other room on the wood flooring. You know, just
Sure.
walking.
Sure.
Getting closer to the bedroom door. So like I'm like freaking confused. I'm freaking out. I'm scared because I can't. So I try screaming. And so I tried to open my mouth to scream, and I couldn't make a noise.
Ooh.
It was just like little yelps, like.
Oh man.
So I closed my eyes, and I'm like, oh shit, and I start praying, like, oh, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Oh man. You went that far, didn't you?
Yeah, and I was like, oh man,
okay.
I gotta call on the powers of the Lord.
Oh.
So I opened my eyes, and then all of a sudden I see like this large figure come in like a dark black robe. He walks into the room.
Holy shit! So something actually did walk in. You actually saw it. It wasn't a shadow. It was actually like a physical form.
Yeah, it was a physical form who walks into the room, and it looked like death.
What do you mean death? Like the Grim Reaper?
Like the Grim Reaper, yeah.
He's like had a sickle and everything in a robe.
He didn't have a sickle, but he had a robe. But he wasn't like he was walking. He was more like he was floating into the room. So I'm thinking, oh fuck, it's death. He's gonna take me away. And I'm like, fuck, I'm only 19.
Yeah.
And I'm freaking out so badly that I can't get any air into my lungs. I feel like I'm suffocating.
Oh man.
And so and I still can't move. And the dark figure comes even closer. And I start squirming around a little more, trying to every ounce of my strength to just move just an inch, just to be able to get up and run or just to get out of there.
Oh yeah.
And I trying to scream, trying to make a noise. Nothing. I didn't do nothing. And the figure gets right up to my face. And like I try to look into its eyes, and it's just nothing but darkness.
It's no good.
Just all black. And I feel its hand like go right on my chest, and then I get this incredible pressure on my chest, and it's like so unbearable, And I think like he's just gonna crush me. I just felt like an elephant was on my chest.
Damn.
And I hear the figure. He goes into my ear and he starts whispering. He's like, "It's not your time." And then I just wake up screaming.
What the fuck?
So
he's gonna scare you and do all that shit just to tell you it's not your time. He could have just like left you alone, or
I know he was all bored.
I'm gonna scare the shit out of him and let him know it's not his time.
Yeah, no one's gonna die in like 20 minutes. So I better do something.
Yeah. So okay, so he lets you know it's not your time.
So yeah, and so I just wake up. And I'm actually awake, but like when I was sleeping, it felt real.
Of course.
So at the time, like I said, I was 19 years old, and I had a lot more experiences like this after this.
A lot more.
Yeah, like pretty much most of my life, I've had like 1 or 2 a month.
Wow.
I'd always wake up unable to move, and I would hear things crawling around, like under the bed, or like I can see like demons or like things that looked evil would be like peeking through the doorway, would like pop their heads in and look at me.
Really?
They'd be peeking through the windows, and they would be like, I can hear them like scratching on the window, calling me.
Oh, really?
But like I would always wake up. But like at the time, it feels like super real. It feels like you just woke up and you can't. I mean, you're just paralyzed.
So do you remember what they look like?
Yeah, they usually like. It depends on the time. But usually like it'll be like a black figure, or it'll be something that looks like a demon, or just like a. Sometimes it'll be like an old lady.
An old lady, like a witch or something, or like an old hag.
Yeah, yeah, like a witch, like an old hag.
Oh shit.
So like growing up, I thought I was the only one that had these experiences. After a while, the internet became more available. I came across other people that had the same affliction. So I started looking up, and there's been records of these events that go back to like the 1600s. One example is in 1664, there was a physician that describes a patient telling him that devils and dog-like creatures would wake her up in the middle of the night and sit on her chest and choke her. Yeah, they would choke her while she was laying there, unable to move.
Damn. So was there anything that they were ever able to do for any of these people? Like maybe some LSD, heroin, some weed, kind of like maybe to mitigate the problem, the dreams?
There's been like tales like far back in like the 10th century. There was a Persian medical textbook that describes a condition where the patient would have nightmares and they would be left paralyzed, unable to scream. You know, they would see creatures stood watching them from like dark corners of the room. And they said the physicians thought it was caused by vapors from the stomach that would go to the brain.
Wait, vapors from the stomach, so like they're farts?
Yeah, so, like stomach.
Is that what it is gas? Is there?
I guess, like gas or stomach acid or vapors would go up to the brain. That's what they thought back then.
Okay.
And so they would,
bad gas.
So some of the cures would be like bloodletting, and like they would just like you just need a low calorie diet.
The way they combat that was full frontal lobotomy and cut off your legs. Fuck,
just
man.
Put some Vicks on your chest and you should be okay.
I know. Wow. So did they ever find out any reason? So this has been going on for the beginning of time, and so it seems like there's been a lot of accounts of this.
In 1692, like during the Salem witch trials, they said that one of the accused witches, Susan Martin, reportedly told Robert Downer, her accuser, that the she-devil would shortly fetch him away. And so Downer freaked out, fearing the devil was going to go after him. He claimed that the night after she said it, he was in bed, and then like this cat-like creature came into the window and started watching him. Downer said that he was unable to move, and he was just watching in horror as this thing entered the room and then just jumped on his chest and started grabbing him by the throat.
Jeez.
He said that it had almost choked him to death. He started like reciting a prayer, which caused the creature to slump down and to the floor and escape through the window. So many stories like these were used as evidence during the witch trials.
So it's almost as if like you have to say a prayer or say Lord's name, and this will banish the creature or at least scare him away.
It depends on like the region. If it's like more of a Christian region, that usually a lot of them would like speak the name of God or whatever, and then it would frighten the creature away. This is a phenomenon that stretches across like many cultures around the world. Like in Newfoundland, people talk of like the old hag.
Yeah.
So
that bitch seems like crazy.
Yeah, that one's a little bit more popular, which is basically like an old hideous woman, and she paralyzes you, and then she sits on your chest and steals your breath.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then there's one from the Caribbean. They believe in the kokoma, which is a creature. It's really weird because it's a creature made up of like souls of dead unbaptized babies.
Ooh.
And it visits their victims while they sleep and strangles them to death.
So what does it go after? Like what is the reason for all these attacks? Like why would you have it but maybe your wife or your son or whoever or your brother doesn't have them? What would be the reason? The difference? Is there any known reasoning for this?
The explanation like doctors have is called sleep paralysis.
Okay.
As your body goes into REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep, it goes into a state where your brain becomes very like active, just as active as if you were awake. So to protect yourself from getting up and trying to play out the scenarios that you're dreaming, what your body does is basically shuts down your voluntary muscles and it paralyzes you. But sometimes when you move out of the REM cycles while you're sleeping, your brain hasn't unparalyzed you. So in that state, in between the sleep cycles,
it's like a waking dream.
Yeah. so you're in between those cycles, and you're paralyzed, but you're still kind of dreaming, but you feel like you're awake. You can have vivid hallucinations, such as sensing a presence in the room, pressure on your chest, even visions of attacks by unknown figures. And it's reported that at least 7% of the general population experiences this condition.
So that's a pretty high percentage, I would say, out of all the, billions of people in the world. But on the flip side of that, why is there a lot of accounts of people also being like having the woman or the man of their dreams coming in and having their way with them that way? I mean, is there like any good side of REM sleep? I mean,
well, I mean,
why is it all like, it's going to be attacked by a demon or a cat or an old hag? Why is it not like, hey, this chick that I really want to bang is coming into my room at night and she's having her way with me and it's fantastic? That's not something you're going to give up, right?
Like the Ghostbusters blowjob dream?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like when Dan Aykroyd was getting a blowjob by that ghost. He didn't fight it.
I don't know. There's a lot of people that can control their dreams. They say, like, if you're in the state and if you are calm enough, if you realize that you're dreaming, you can start controlling them and then do all kinds of stuff, like fly, have sex with whoever you want, stuff like that.
So you're saying that if you can control this, that demon that comes in, you could just bang it. And then you could just be like, hey, get the fuck out of here.
You can have hot demon sex.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, man, that might be something, huh? We might have just coined the phrase, hot demon sex.
Hot demon sex, yeah. I had a hot demon sex dream last night. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's like, oh, damn, that must have been really hardcore. Yup. She turned me out.
Yeah. You got the devil in you, girl. You got the devil in you.
No. I was the devil. That's all, man. It's just curious to see, like if people who control their dreams ever flip it on them, because that sounds pretty scary.
Yeah, but like I said, like during the condition, like your body doesn't realize this is going on. So a lot of times it mostly scares people. So all of a sudden all the things that they fear come out, and that's usually what happens. Is you usually end up having like the scary stuff come out.
I got you. So you're freaking out from the situation. So your mind just starts building off on that.
Yeah, because if you wake up paralyzed, I mean, it's like sex is probably not the first thing that's gonna be on your mind.
I know, huh? That's true. Unless you're into some kinky stuff where you're tied down, I guess. But
I mean, like I said, there's like scientific reasonings for it, with like the sleep paralysis. But there's been there was one story that kind of unexplained. There's been like couples had shared the same experiences at the same time. Like there was a couple sleeping. All of a sudden, the husband was awakened by a scream. So he wakes up and he sees like a haggard old woman dressed like a witch sitting on his wife's chest. Oh, and his wife is like screaming for her husband, to save her. But when he tries to get up to help her, he's unable to move. And the old woman turns to him and just starts staring at him. And he says that her skin was all gray and wrinkly, and she had these dark, soulless eyes. And she continued to stare at him as she proceeds to just choke her. He's just like looking at him like, fucking, you can't stop anything. And she's like choking his wife. So he closed his eyes, and as soon as he did, like he just woke up all of a sudden, and he looks over to find his wife just sleeping there, and she's fine. So then, like later in the day, his wife mentions that she had this horrible nightmare, and that a witch was like choking her, and he was calling out for him, and he wouldn't wake up.
Wow, like how can that be? I mean, it's like obviously they're linked somehow, but is that to say that not just maybe your partner, in life, but what if we're psychically linked to each other some other way?
That could be. I mean, but as far as that, maybe they just had like a real, like a lot of people, they think the same. A lot of couples, they've been together for so long, they think the same thing. They say they can finish each other's sentences.
Sure.
Like, two people having connections. You were talking about like doppelgangers, two people who maybe have the same lives, or someone that looks like you. Do you have any stories about that?
Well, sure, yeah. Because I've been kind of like hearing about it because I've had friends who've told me stories about them over the years. You know me, I'm somebody, you've known me for a while. I like to hear stories from people. I like to get true accounts from people as best I can. And I know, obviously, if they're fake, they're fake. If they're real, they're real. I can't disprove or prove anything. But one of the ones that always kind of infatuated me was about doppelgangers. And to me, they're not really talked about very often. So basically, doppelgangers are like your lookalike or a double, and they're sometimes portrayed as a paranormal phenomenon, and they could be a harbinger of bad luck. In other stories, it's basically your evil double goer, like your evil twin. So if you see one, it's almost like a harbinger of
So
doom.
are they like twins that were like separated at birth, or they're just like people that look like you?
So what some people think is that maybe it's your like maybe there's parallel or dimensional other people of you that somehow you cross paths like over dimensions.
Oh, different dimensions. That's interesting.
Or they say like maybe it's other people have also said that it's your double, the evil double of you that basically wants to kill you and take your life over.
Do they have to have a goatee if they're evil?
like Bender, like Bender and Flexo. Yeah. That's no, they don't. They're supposed to look like you, and they can have some type of message for you, even if you don't know it. Like one instance, like a famous one was, I guess, allegedly Abraham Lincoln had one.
Abraham Lincoln had a doppelganger?
So allegedly, like the night of his first election night, he went to go lay down on the couch. He's tired, and as he went and lay down, he was just chilling on the couch, and he looked over at the mirror, just kind of like just hanging out, and he saw like two faces on his body. He saw his face, and he saw another one right next to it. But the old one looked really old and haggard, and he was like, "What the hell?" And he got freaked out. And he got up, like, oh my God, like, you see something like that. You see like a double in the mirror that looks wrong. You're going to kind of like look at it and kind of jump and change, move around. When he got up, it disappeared. He sat back down. It appeared again. So he went and told his wife about it. And she felt that it was like probably an omen for bad news. She felt that he was going to be elected. The first one was his normal face. And the second one, the ghostly, haggard one, was supposed to be like him getting elected again, but not surviving.
Oh, I see. So that was like a warning of his death.
Yeah, it was like a premonition of his future. Like he saw himself in his future. First one was fine, no problem. Second one was basically death, and we know what happened with that. Allegedly, he saw that like one more time, in his presidency, before it was gone. So maybe like however he was getting that message from wherever they come from, had given the message to him, and so he had it. So he knew, or his wife thought that it was a premonition of death for him. Another instance was some in France in like the 19th century. Some lady named Emily Sagie. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but she was basically a pretty good school teacher, and she went to work at a school, and they noticed on her resume that in 16 years she had 19 different jobs, and they were like okay, this is kind of weird. Nobody gets that many jobs in that amount of time. So they hired her. They said, okay, we'll give her a chance. And they noticed that students were noticing that a duplicate or a doppelganger of her would show up. Now, originally at first, like she'd be teaching, like writing on the board, and it would appear next to her and like basically like mimic her movements.
So they would be in class and they would see like two people at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. And she didn't know anything was going on. She had her back to the class. She's doing something. And it would appear like right next to her and like mirror everything she did.
And the kids didn't all freak out. Like, what the?
The kids saw and they did. No, that's the whole thing. So hold on. So that's the whole thing. That's why they freaked out, is because they saw that. Another time she's like she's eating lunch, and it was behind her again doing the same thing, and she's oblivious to it. She doesn't know what's going on, but everyone else around saw it.
I wonder if she just had a twin and she just like to fuck with everybody.
Well, the weird part is that it would appear like out of thin air and disappear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it wouldn't show up. It would appear.
Oh, that's creepy.
Yeah, and it was said that like a lot of times when that would occur, her normal self, her prime self, would become like groggy, and she would be like kind of like powerless.
Like it would take her energy.
Yes, exactly. And it would do things that she later on, when they asked her, she would kind of be thinking about doing. It'd be like, you're like laying there on the couch thinking, man, I should be getting up lifting weights, and the doppelganger would be doing that. It would be like lifting weights while you're just laying there and just chilling. So this thing would do that. Like she was out in the garden one time of the class. She was working the garden, and it appeared in the class sitting at her desk. And the students were like, what the hell? Like they could see her outside in the garden, and it just manifested at the desk. And some of the students actually got brave enough to go up and touch her. And when they did, they said it was like passing your hand through like a thick texture.
Oh, really?
Like you could pass through it, but it was like almost a form, but it was thick.
Like Jello?
I guess. I mean, they just said it was just like a thick texture.
Okay.
Is all I heard. So it was just a little bit.
Like it had a
little bit weird.
It had a weight to it then.
It did. It did have a little bit of weight to it, but again, it would disappear, and it would zap her energy, and so eventually, it was doing this too much that the school had to fire her because everyone was getting freaked out. She was a good teacher, but again, this is why she was losing her job so many times, is because this doppelganger would show up all the time, and it would freak everybody out.
Why do you think they would keep her? Because she had like 2 people. They'd only have to pay one person.
They would, except the other one wasn't doing anything but scaring people. Could you imagine if you were like married to her and like she was like a hag and you'd be getting like bitched at by twice the woman?
By 2 people.
That would be horrible, man.
Or if she's like really hot, you'd be like, "Hey, can you get your friend to come?"
Yeah, you and your sister. Let's go take a shower, baby. Yeah. But I guess it could work either way. I mean, they said she was a good teacher, so she might have been good at other things. Those are a couple of instances of like kind of high level that I heard about. But I also like heard like some stories. I had a friend who said that he got up one night. Just to be honest, he got done with his wife, put her to sleep. He went up to have a cigarette, and it was like 2 a.m. So he gets up, 2, 3 a.m. He gets up and he goes to the living room, starts smoking. So basically, he comes out from the bedroom, walks down the little hallway, goes to the kitchen, and goes into the living room. Next to the living room is like a family room, and there's like a little mirror. There's a little window between the two, so you can kind of see between. It's not a very big mirror, or it's not a very big window, but he just was sitting there just chilling and smoking, and he was just sitting on the couch, and he had like one of the lights on, and the kitchen light, so it wasn't completely dark. So as he was sitting there, he looked over and he saw his wife in the family room, and she was like there just kind of staring at him, and then she would kind of hide. And he was like, "What the hell? Like I just got done with you. You fell asleep. You passed out." But he thought, "Oh, maybe she got up. Maybe somehow she got in front of me and beat me there." So he was smoking there. He's just chilling there smoking. And same thing. She did that. She looked back at him. She would come out, look in the window and look at him, but never smile. Just kind of have a scowl. Mm-hmm. So he was like, that's interesting. So finally he like waved to her, and she just
I just finished you off, man. You should be smiling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, why are you mad? I know I put in some hard work with you. And so she did that a few times. And so finally he's like, "Hey, come on over, hang out. You want to hang out on the couch with me?" Nothing. So he goes right around the corner to where she's at. It's empty. Nobody there. And there's nowhere to get out from there besides passing by him. So he freaks out. He runs back into the bedroom. She's fast asleep. He wakes her up. She's just dead asleep. He wakes her up. "Were you just in the family room?" She's like, "What? Like, no, what are you talking about?" He's like, "You were just in there. You were looking at me." It's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He just never found out what it was. It just scared the hell out of him. Just because it was his wife looking at him from the other room. Just kept staring at him and kept hiding and staring at him, but never smiling, never looking happy. Just kind of there. I mean, it was like her doppelganger was hanging out, but there was no rhyme or reason for it.
So does he see her disappear?
He didn't see her disappear. He just never saw her at all. He saw her between the window, between the rooms, but when he went around to retrieve her, she was not there. There was no other door. There's no windows to that room.
Oh wow. That would be freaky.
Yeah, that was a little bit. That was kind of interesting. In another instance, another friend of mine said he was, hanging out at home, and he was on the computer, just hanging out in his room, and he hears like his dad downstairs saying, "What is it?" And he's like, just kind of looks up like, "Huh? Like, what's it? Like, what's my dad yelling at?" And he hears it again, like, "What?" And so then he kind of gets up and he goes out his room and he goes to the top of the stairs. He's like, "Dad, like, are you calling me? Like, what's up?" Dad's like what? And he goes downstairs and his dad's there and his dad's like, "What's going on? Like, what do you want?" And the boy's like, "I don't know. What are you talking about? You were yelling at me." And the dad's like, "I didn't yell at you." And the boy says, "Yeah, I did. I heard you yelling for me." And the dad says, "No, I wasn't. I'm right here. I'm working on the sink." And so he's like, "Well, I heard you call me, and I heard you, and so that's why I was yelling back to you." And Dad says, like, "I didn't hear you, I don't know what you're talking about. I heard you call for me." And they're like, "Okay, like, whatever." They're just kind of thinking like, "Okay, maybe we just miscommunicated, or whatever. This is kind of weird.
Like maybe you just heard like a bird or something, or like some animal bark, and it just sounded like his dad.
Yeah, and the dad saying that he heard him yell for him, your dad, whatever. And so then they're just kind of there, and they're like, the boys like, all right, whatever, and they're about to go back their own ways, and they hear in the other part of the house, they hear dad.
Oh, shit!
It's his voice. He hears the same voice that the dad heard,
and they both heard it.
They both heard it.
Oh,
and it's like coming from like the back of the house. Granted, there's nobody else in the house. Nobody else is home. Just them two. Nobody else lives there.
So what did they do?
They're like, what the fuck? And they just booked it out of there. He said him and his dad just left. They went out to dinner.
They didn't go look to see what it was?
No, they didn't. He said they didn't.
Oh man, I'd be afraid because eventually you got to go back into the house.
Yeah, they did. They eventually looked, but they're like,
not right now.
Yeah, exactly. You want a piece of me? No,
no, my friend. I'm gonna go get some pizza.
Yeah, exactly. They just said, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, so they were. That scared them. Like when they heard that, they heard his voice being called from around the house. But it was not him because he was right there.
So is there any ones where they actually like met the doppelganger and like talked to them?
So one story that a friend of mine, she said that she was having a hard time in her life, and she was walking. She just needed to kind of clear her mind, see if she can reassess her life. She decided to just go through these paths, and all of a sudden, it's through forest and brush, and all of a sudden, she kind of hears some footsteps as well. And she stops. And she's like, what, do I hear something? Nothing. So then she keeps going, hears footsteps as well again. Mm-hmm. And as it's getting closer to her, she's kind of freaking out, like, fuck, like, who's out here? What could be out here? I don't have a weapon. I don't have a cell phone. Because this was like before cell phones. And all of a sudden, she ends up coming to like a little clearing, and up walks herself. Mm-hmm. From exactly mirror image of herself, and they look at each other, and the mirror image of herself says, "Don't worry, it's gonna be all right," and just walks off.
Oh man, I'd be like, "What are you talking about? What?"
Yeah, exactly. But she was like too stunned to like say anything. She was like, "What the fuck?" And so she was too stunned to even ask any questions. I know I was the same thing. Like, why didn't you go after him? What'd you ask? Like, what's gonna be okay? She's like, I couldn't. I was just like, it was just me walking up to myself. I don't have a twin. I don't have a sister. She said after that, like, things kind of got better. Like her bad breakup that she had with her boyfriend, she got over it. She got another job. Things kind of just turned around for her. But she thinks that it was herself,
like from the future.
She doesn't know. It was just like herself letting herself know that things are going to be okay.
I wonder if it was like a time traveler that came back and said like, "Hey, everything's going to be okay."
And if anything, I think she didn't say it looked any older. She didn't say it looked any younger. So I'm assuming it would have to be like a parallel self.
Well, it could be like a year difference.
It could. It could have. Yeah. It could have. It could be a week ahead. I mean,
yeah.
She didn't know. She was just like too stunned, but it didn't look older. It didn't look like he was like 50 or anything.
So did the girl just like run away?
No, she said she just kind of felt some like she was too stunned, but then she just felt like calm.
No, I mean the girl the one that told her that everything was going to be okay.
No,
she like
just walked off.
She walked off.
Just walked off. Yeah, just walked off. Just finished the walk. Her walk.
Oh man, I would have tried at least, even if I was stunned, I'd be at least walking and try to follow her. See, she just
I know,
or
right? Yeah, I mean, maybe she touched it, like a time paradox would go off and maybe destroy the galaxy and time continuum. I don't know, but she was freaked out. I mean, like I said, she was scared, but she felt a little bit calm, and she just kind of like she said she kind of went back a little bit to backtrack and see, but she couldn't find her. So either she like never existed, maybe it was a fabrication in her mind, maybe it was her, and letting herself know like, hey, you might be walking down a bad path. Turn around, don't keep going down these bad thoughts that you have. Because she said she was feeling pretty blue because she just had a bad relationship.
It could have been all in her mind and just a figment of her imagination.
It could have been. Yeah, she could have fabricated the whole thing. But again, that's just what she said she saw. It was herself. Tell herself that. I thought that was an interesting story. This last story that I found online, found on YouTube, and it was basically there was nobody to give credit to because it didn't have it on there. So I'm assuming this guy got it from Reddit. So basically, the gist of it is a guy. He had an office job. He wakes up late. he gets up. You know how it is when you get up late. And you're like, oh, fuck, I gotta get to work, right? You're
frantically trying to just get there.
you just thrashed, man. You don't really brush your teeth well, and you barely have time to take a leak. And so he gets up and he just runs to the office. He's supposed to be there at 9. Wakes up at 9:30, trying to get there. Gets up the elevator. On the right side of the elevator, when the door opens, receptionist area.
Mm-hmm.
On the left side are conference rooms that are like glass windows. So he looks over at the recep as he's walking in. She's staring at him kind of weird. Looks over at the left side of all the conference rooms. Everybody's just kind of looking at him weird too.
Like, oh man, you're super late.
Yeah, like something was up. And so you can see his cubicle from the hallway that he's walking down. And as he's making his way to his cubicle, he sees somebody sitting there. And he's like, what the fuck? Like who could be there? And the whole time he's been nervous, thinking his boss is going to fire him.
That they replaced him already.
Yeah, right? As he walks up to his cubicle, he's walking towards his cubicle. He sees somebody sitting at his computer. So he's also thinking, well, maybe it's the IT guy. He's making some adjustments or maintenance or something.
Uh-huh.
But as he's thinking that and he's walking there, the guy looks up and they make eye contact. And he freaks out because what he sees is himself.
Oh.
The man sitting at the desk is himself. Same clothes, same hair. They just stare at each other. And the guy who's at the desk looks startled, like, oh my God. And he starts frantically picking up all these papers that are at the desk.
So he freaks out the doppelganger.
The doppelganger freaks out.
Oh, so maybe that guy is a doppelganger and not
it could be.
doppelganger.
It could be, right?
Yeah.
And so the guy who's late, he starts running towards the desk like, oh, what the fuck? Oh, the doppelganger sprints down the hallway the other way and rounds a corner. And he's running after him, it's full sprint. And when he does, he gets around the corner, nothing there. There's nowhere that he could have went. There's no stairs. There's no doors, like a long hallway.
Just disappears like the rest of them, huh?
Just disappears, man. Gone. And so he gets back, and everyone's just kind of looking at him all weird. And he's asking his neighbors, like, hey, is anybody sitting here? Who's sitting here? And they're like, what are you talking about? Nobody's been here. And he asks the boss. He goes to the boss, hey, who's at my desk? The boss is like, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, you haven't been here. I've been looking for you. I've been coming every 15 minutes looking on you. You haven't been here. Nobody's been here. And he's just like, fuck, this is bullshit. You guys are fucking with me.
Well, good as a doppelganger, he's not going to cover for you while you're
exactly, out. Right? I know my doppelganger would. My doppelganger would have stayed in bed. Motherfucker. So there's nothing there. He goes to the bathroom, kind of washes his face, like, fuck, what the fuck did just happen? Maybe I'm like, just all fucked up and sleeping, all tired. And so he goes back to his desk, and he sees like there's a new Word doc on his desktop. So he opens it up, and it has the following notes on it. It says name, and it has his name, and it says location 846-2421.856-844C. Absent. Will be fulfilling role until recalled. Current parameters unclear, though outline is primitive. Log number 521952 has been updated with key information regarding the status of his name. And it says operation has B and has B. And it stops because that's when he probably...
Oh, that's when they showed up.
He cut him off, yeah, and he got cut off.
It sounds like they're like replacing him.
Replacing or updating him or maybe even purging him. But he says after that, he says I just quit that day. It's like, I'm out of here. And he just got the fuck out of here. Like, I'm not working here, but they're
I'm gonna go deliver pizza.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he said that he had that log file and everything, and I don't know what to think of that one. It could be just a good story, or it could just be something real that like maybe there is like some other type of galactic empire that's watching over you, and they're gonna take you out.
Have you ever been mistaken for somebody else?
Well, I mean, just Denzel Washington. But, I mean, fuck. Sorry. I haven't anybody ever thought that I was somebody, or thought I've had other people tell me that, like, hey, like they went somewhere they've never been before, and everyone's like, hey, glad to see you back, Jimmy. And Jimmy's like, what are you talking about? I've never been here. Hey, it was good. I'm gonna see you at the party tonight, right? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You coming tonight to Fred's, right, or to Jim's? And they're just like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And then they go places, and people are like, yeah, what the fuck you doing back here, asshole? After what you did yesterday. You know, how dare you come back? And he's like, what are you talking? I've never been here before. And people have had that, and they've thought it was like a doppelganger or mistaken identity.
But you've never had that happen to you?
I've never had that happen yet.
I have.
You have?
I've one time, I was about 25, and I shaved my head. And and I went to this Chinese restaurant with a friend of mine. And I'm sitting there, and this lady comes up to me, and she's asked me, how come you haven't come to temple lately? And I was like, I don't know who you are. I'm not. I don't think I'm the person you're looking for. And she's like, look, Johnny. I know it's you. You know, we talked that other day. Why? I was just wondering how come you haven't. You know, after that day we talked, how come you haven't come talk to me again? You know, haven't been come by. Because we miss you at the temple. And I was like, look, my name's not Johnny. My name's Logan. I don't know who you are. I've never seen you in my life. And my friend's just sitting there laughing, and he's like, no, and he's like, basically egging her on, you know, trying to. He's like, no, it's him, it's Johnny. He's just messing with you.
He's getting a little aggravated about that. Yeah. Stop fucking around, Johnny.
So I'm like, no, he's messing with you. My name's Logan, and she's like, all right, if you're gonna play those games, you know, go right ahead, you know. And I'm like, oh crap, you know, she's gonna sit on my food or, you know, do something.
Yep.
So I go to the bathroom, and she sees me going, and then she confronts me in the hallway to the bathroom, and she's like, Johnny, I don't know why you're acting like this way, and I'm like, I'm not who you think I am. My name is Logan. I have my ID, and I pulled out my ID and I showed it to her, and she said, and I showed her like, there's my name, you know, this is how old I am. So whoever you think I am, I'm not. She's like, oh man, and she still would not believe me.
Sure.
She kept telling me, like, oh, you're just trying to pull my leg and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I went back and I was like, I told the guy, we better go because this lady's freaking crazy. Yeah. So we got up and we left.
And that was it. Nothing ever happened with that.
And after that, I never went back in there again.
You never went back, never saw if she was mistaken identity again.
No, because like it was just too weird. Because like no matter what I did, she wouldn't believe me.
I think I would have teased that. I think I would have went back and I would have been, yes, I'm Johnny. Yes, give me your money.
Yes.
You know, I've been told at temple. Yeah, temple. They told me to get to collect.
The $200 you owe me.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have. You know, you could have like went off on that.
Oh, I just wanted to get out of there because it was too crazy. She was too like, I think she was like in love with that guy.
Oh man, that would have been better. You could have got free food. And some loving. Man, you just squandered an opportunity, man.
I know. I just ruined it for everybody.
Damn, you and your buddy could have got free food. You could have got some loving in the back. Everybody wins.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I guess I just couldn't take advantage of that.
Yeah, I guess not. Maybe she wasn't as good looking as I'm thinking she might have been.
No, she was an older lady, so I don't know.
That was all right. I can see why you fucking laughed quicks. I don't want any piece of this. Does in any of your instances with your paralysis, do you still have those now?
I still do get them, and like.
Same thing. Always telling you it's not your time.
No, that was just like the first time. The first time it happened. Most of them because I know. Usually when they're going on, so I just kind of have to. I just sit there and wait, and I can hear stuff around me, and it's still kind of scary. But I sit there, but sometimes like I won't be able to breathe, and and when I'm in there, I'm thinking that I'm dying, or like I'm having a heart attack or something, and I'll just start screaming. My wife knows now that if she hears me mumbling while I'm sleeping, she like wakes me up.
Oh wow, is she a light sleeper?
Yeah, she usually gets up. Like she'll like if I make some noise, she's able to get up and she'll just wake me up and then go back to sleep.
Oh, get up, asshole!
Yeah, like nothing.
Like, quit waking me up.
Yeah, but like I said, it doesn't happen all the time. It's usually maybe like if I'm stressed, it'll happen more often, and they'll be more vivid. But like if I'm doing okay, like I won't have any issues.
You know, I kind of had one that this is kind of weird, and I don't know if it really falls into your type of paralysis. But when I was younger, I think it was like 8th grade, and I think I remember one time I used to be scared of the dark when I was growing up, so I used to have a dimmer in my room.
I think most of us were.
Yeah, I used to, and so I remember one night I woke up and the light was really low, like half off, like really, really low, and I could barely open my eyes, but I couldn't open my eyes completely, and I couldn't move. And I remember I was just like freaking out, like you said, you can't move, you can't do anything. I'm like trying to fight it, and all of a sudden, like I'm there. It feels like I'm there for hours, but it was probably minutes. I don't know. And next thing I know is my room was at the beginning of the hallway of my family. I was the first room at the hallway, and my parents' room was at the very end, at the end of the hallway. And so, next thing I know is I'm standing in the hallway, but I can see myself like a third person, as if somebody's got a camera on me. This is what's really weird. And there's like a camera on me, and as I'm floating through the hallway, and it's like I'm wearing like a robe, like how you see like the angels wear, like those like toga type robes. Mm-hmm. And like I'm flying through the hallway to my parents' room, and I can see myself as a third person flying, and I can see myself first person at the same time. It's as if I have two different visions at once.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's weird as fuck.
Like a split screen?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
but it didn't feel like it. It's like I just knew that I could see both, and both of them seemed legitimate.
Yeah.
And I'm flying down the hallway, and I can see like my toga's all like waving in the wind as if I'm flying in the air, right, like Superman. And as I get to the end of the hallway, get to my parents' room, and I open up the door, and I look at them, and it's middle of the night, and I can see them, and they're laying there, and they're just asleep, and I'm just staring at them. And the next thing I know, right away I wake up, and it's like morning time, and I'm in their bed. They're already awake. And like up, but it's like morning. It's like 9 a.m. or whatever, and the sun's up, and I'm in their bed.
So you kind of sleepwalked to their bed.
I must have sleptwalked, but it was just weird the way the whole thing went. It was just the paralysis and the way I saw myself doing that. I've never been known to sleepwalk, and so I don't know why I would have that time, or I don't remember doing it. Like I can only picture that third and first person view of me flying through with a robe like a toga, which I don't own anything like that. Yeah, so I know I wasn't wearing that. I was just wearing, whatever,
You don't have a Martha Stewart toga collection?
Yeah. So I mean, it was just really odd and really weird, and I never knew how to explain it. And when that happened, I didn't know anything about any of this stuff, so I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I was at school asking people, man, can you die in your dreams? And I'm just scared as fuck, man. This is, probably the way you felt with that demon walking in.
Yeah.
Was the way I felt. I mean, thankfully I didn't have anything like that, but I can understand being scared because you can't control it, and you don't.
Yeah, you don't know what's going to happen, or you don't know what's going on most of the time.
Yeah, it's like it's like your mind's just going, and if I've heard of people, like you said, being able to control it, but I wish I could do that. The dream aspect is something that I just don't like having, and I wish I could just control them or just cease to have them. I think it would just be better.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be.
I was able to do it for a while, but I can't do it like before. I used to be able to control, be able to fly.
How were you able to do that?
For a while, like there's a thing called lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to like practice, like before you sleep, kind of like talk about what you want to dream about, and then just keep thinking about it, and then that way when you start doing it, you start kind of realizing that you're in the dream. But I was doing it naturally for like through my 20s, and I'd be able to just basically do anything I wanted in the dream.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you lose that? Or what stopped?
Like it just like if I was getting stressed, like I said, like if I got stressed out a lot, I wouldn't be able to do it. It'd be more the paralyzing dreams. So and then after a while, I just stopped dreaming for a long time, or like I just couldn't remember them. It would like I'd wake up and I never really remembered any of the dreams.
Oh, really? So have you ever tried doing the isolation tanks? The flotation tanks.
No.
Where it's basically like you're weightless. It's dark. Your mind can just basically.
The sensory deprivation tanks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's basically a lot of people do them. Say they're fantastic, and I've had people try and talk me into doing it. I've had a few people that try to say, "Hey, you should do this. You can control your dreams. You can have all this lucid dreaming in here." I mean, because your mind is just it's not inhibited by anything. It doesn't feel a ground. It doesn't see a sky, and you can and you're free to do whatever you want. Some people do it. Some people it works for them. Some people like it doesn't do anything. So maybe if you're more honed into that, it might be possible. It might be something worth trying.
I might have to try it.
Yeah, around where I live, they have a few places where you can just go in and rent them. Just go in for like an hour.
Is it expensive? How much is it?
It's probably like a lot of money, like $7 or something. No, probably like $60. It might be like some kind of high amount because I guess, like I said, some people find it very, very relaxing, or it takes them to a different part in their life, like to a different part in their mind, and it's either calming or it helps them with their work. Like maybe they can focus. I said, depending on some people that have done it, some people say it's really good, and some people say that this doesn't do anything. But it sounds like you and I are, our minds are more in tune with, this extra sensory power or whatever.
Yeah, we'll have to give it a shot. Okay, well, we are about out of time.
All right. Hope everybody enjoyed themselves, had a good weekend. Hopefully we'll hear from you. If you guys want to come to our website, thestrangepodcast.com,
go to the bottom of the page and you can leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of the show.
Feel free to, if you want any type of topics you guys might want to hear or want us to talk about, you can go ahead and put your information in the comments. We'll look into it and get back to you. No matter what it is, we like hearing anything. It's all good.
All right, so you guys have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.